A major crackdown on undocumented migrants, how President Trump's immigration plans are unfolding and impacting those in Texas.
Damp and dreary outside right now with some light rain in spots. We'll track a bigger soaking with some strong storms midweek in first warning weather.
And with that immigration crackdown, the southern border is about to get busier. What resources Governor Abbott is mobilizing. And thank you so much for joining us tonight at 10 o'clock. I'm Jennifer Sanders. Daniel has a night off. First, the president's key domestic policy kicks into high gear with stepped up arrests of undocumented migrants across the country. The Drug Enforcement Agency confirmed ICE conducted a series of enhanced targeted operations here in Austin yesterday. Here's NBC's Julie Sirkin.
Sworn into office 1 week ago, President Donald Trump is already huddling with Republican lawmakers, selling them on the bold agenda he sold the American people.
And deliver on the mandate that we've been given by the American people.
House Republicans meeting in South Florida over the next 3 days, finding the votes to pass Trump's plans and the cash to fund them.
All around the country, something has changed because there's a new sheriff in town.
Funding the administration needs sooner than later to pay for the nationwide crackdown on undocumented migrants. From Newark, New Jersey to Miami, Florida, federal law enforcement raiding homes and businesses, searching for migrants with criminal records, but detaining others too. And in Chicago, church groups are helping migrants understand their rights.
We're trying to educate them and inform them of their rights.
After Colombia initially refused to accept military flights carrying deported migrants back to their home country, President Trump threatened tariffs on Colombian imports, putting the two countries on the brink of a trade war. But on Sunday, the White House claimed victory after Colombia's president accepted the migrants after all. And in another controversial move, the president fired 18 inspectors general from various agencies over the weekend, without giving Congress 30 days notice as required by the law.
Technically, yeah, but he has the authority to do it.
Republican Senator Chuck Grassley, part of the bipartisan push to bolster protections for government watchdogs, called for, quote, further explanation from President Trump.
And in cabinet news, 3 of President Trump's more controversial nominees will all get their chance in the hot seat this week, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a vaccine skeptic, up to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, Kash Patel to be FBI director, and Tulsi Gabbard to be Trump's director of national intelligence. All of them will get key hearings before the Senate this week. In Washington, Julie Sirkin, NBC News.
And going in depth right now, immigration authorities made close to 1,200 arrests in just one day, and nearly half of those detained don't have criminal records. That's all according to a senior Trump administration official. Data obtained by NBC News shows that nearly 52% of the arrests were considered criminal arrests, and the rest appear to be nonviolent offenders or people who were just in the country illegally. When asked about concerns about those in the country legally getting detained, here's what Border Czar Tom Homan had to say.
The men and women of ICE are professionals. We do this for a living. And I can tell you, I ran ICE for years. I was the first director of ICE came up through the ranks. Again, these men and women are professional, highest attention standards in the industry. We take care of these people. But we're going to enforce the law, and we're not going to apologize for doing it.
And the number of arrests that agents made in the first 3 days of Trump's presidency represents a bit more than 1% of the arrests ICE made throughout all of 2024. Central Texas school districts are preparing for the possibility that ICE agents show up at their schools. KXAN Superintendent Dr. Eric Wright sent a letter to parents saying that if ICE agents came to the campus, the district will follow the law, but if the focus is on undocumented people convicted of crimes, he believes that KXAN, quote, would not be significantly affected. According to Wright, none of KXAN staff members are undocumented, and the district does not collect students' information on immigration. Governor Greg Abbott is sending an additional 400 National Guard troops to South Texas. The governor said in a release the troops will assist U.S. Border Patrol agents. They will join the 1,500 U.S. soldiers that were deployed across the southwest border this week. Governor Abbott's direction comes less than a week after he asked the federal government to reimburse the state for the cost of securing the border the last 4 years. In a letter, the governor said it cost Texas $11 billion. Texas State Senator Sarah Eckart says she wants an audit of how that money was spent.
It's not enough to look good. You have to actually do good. And we don't know yet what good we've done with the expenditures we've made so far, and we also don't know what kind of damage we've done.
The 400 troops deployed Monday are part of the state's tactical border force. The force was created in 2023 to respond to hotspots on the border where people are trying to cross illegally. Tax season is approaching and many of you are getting your W-2s. Republican members of Congress warn your paychecks could be smaller this time next year. The sweeping tax cuts Congress passed in 2017 are due to expire at the end of this year. President Trump pledged to make them permanent. Republicans say those tax cuts grew the economy, but the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office predicts extending the tax cuts would add $3.3 trillion to the national debt by 2035. Democrats accuse Republicans of ignoring the middle class.
So they can provide a massive tax cut to the very rich.
To give tax breaks for the wealthiest Americans.
President Trump says he'll likely need votes from Democrats to extend the 2017 tax cuts. A number of Justice Department officials who were part of the team investigating President Donald Trump were fired today. The investigators who were let go played a significant role in Jack Smith's prosecutions of Trump. Now, Smith had filed criminal charges against Trump in 2 separate cases, one in federal district court in Washington, D.C., the second in federal district court in South Florida. Charges in both of those cases were dropped after Trump's election victory. A DOJ official tells NBC News the acting attorney general, James McHenry, does not trust these officials to assist in faithfully implementing the president's agenda, adding that the move is consistent with the mission of ending the weaponization of government.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon.
A little bit of drizzle, sprinkles, light rain moving through parts of the area, generally along and east of 35, although parts of Austin getting a little bit of rain, especially southeast Austin right now. It's all light, nothing too serious or heavy now, but beneficial wet weather, yes. The most widespread rain moving through Caldwell and Bastrop counties now into Milam County, but a little bit of Lee and Fayette County getting in on it as well. Temperatures across the area ranging from the mid to upper 40s in the hill country to the low 50s in parts of the metro, with those 40s back in our eastern counties. We're not going to cool off much more from where we're at now with the clouds in place, keeping some of the heat of the day in. We'll only drop down to 47 here, so another few degrees from now with some occasional light showers, sprinkles and drizzle overnight. Coming up in first warning weather, more of the same, damp and cool for your Tuesday, but we've got some storms on the way Wednesday into Thursday. We'll track that as well as the concerns that we have with them, plus how much rain we could get out of that before we head for the sunshine and 70s.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. Thousands of displaced Palestinians are making their way back into the most heavily damaged part of the Gaza Strip. This comes as Israel lifts the closure in northern Gaza for the first time since the early weeks of the war with Hamas, part of the fragile ceasefire agreement. And you can see these massive crowds of people walking with their belongings. It's a reversal of the mass exodus from the north at the start of the war that many Palestinians had feared Israel would make permanent. Palestinians who have been sheltering in tent camps and shelters for over a year are eager to return to their homes, though many of those homes have likely been damaged or destroyed. This week, Austin City Council could vote to make homelessness one of its top funding priorities starting next budget cycle. The resolution they're voting on could do the following: direct the city to explore new and lasting funding sources to replace expiring federal funds, including American Rescue Plan Act dollars, invest significant funding into emergency shelters, permanent supportive housing, and rapid rehousing, and expand prevention and diversion programs. KXAN's Grace Reeder breaks down how much it could cost.
What's your name? So where are you going to be sleeping tonight? On the street? Are you living with a physical or other medical disability?
Yes. Hundreds of volunteers spent early Sunday morning asking people sleeping on our streets questions just like those.
You out here just by yourself?
As part of the Ending Community Homelessness Coalition, or ECHO's, biannual point-in-time count. That's a federally required count of the number of people experiencing homelessness in our city. But it also helps local policymakers decide where to put funding and resources.
One of the top issues that I hear from our community is what are we doing to address homelessness? And that is a significant challenge that we have as a city.
Thursday, Austin City Council is expected to take up a major resolution surrounding just that. The resolution could make homelessness a top funding priority for the city of Austin.
So I'm really proud that one of the first items that we'll take up on Thursday at our first council meeting is prioritizing investments in homelessness. And that includes having additional funding for shelter, for housing, and prevention. A robust response is needed for us to address the crisis that we see in our city.
Back to the data. In November, ECHO provided Austin modeling for the next decade. It found the city needs an estimated 550 additional emergency shelter beds, which could cost roughly $24.4 million. More than 2,300 new rapid rehousing units. That price tag could be north of $100 million. And roughly 4,200 additional permanent supportive housing units, which could cost the city more than $217 million. Altogether, building out those beds or units alone could cost the city an estimated roughly $350 million over the next 10 years.
This item passed unanimously from the Public Health Committee. And so I know that we had several of my colleagues out last night doing the point-in-time count with ECHO to ensure that we are counting the individuals who are living unhoused. But that count is so much more than just a count. It really is a way for policymakers and for our community partners to understand the scale of the crisis.
Grace Reeder, KXAN News.
And in past, the resolution is asking the city manager to bring an update back to the Public Health Committee by March. In that update, the city will also be asked to identify one-time funding needs versus ongoing expenses. Cap Metro is upgrading the way you pay for your fare, in part by adding tap-to-pay technology. The Transit Authority's current app will retire this spring with the new fare payment system set to launch on March 1st. Cap Metro riders will need to download the UMO app to pay for fares and then the Transit app to help coordinate their trip and track bus arrivals. Digital reporter Kelsey Thompson includes the other changes coming to Cap Metro in the near future over in the story on KXAN.com. You can make your Valentine's Day cards a little special this year with a new postmark, and it's designed by a 7th grader from West Texas. It's in Valentine, Texas, and Valentine ISD holds a contest each year to select the next Valentine's Day postmark. Ellie Terrazzo was inspired by campfires from family events, putting the warmth of the memories into her art. To get this postmark, you can put your greeting in an envelope with a stamp, then put it in a larger envelope addressed to the Valentine, Texas post office. Well, a new state park is coming to Texas. Texas Parks and Wildlife bought over 2,000 acres in Burnett County. It's just across from the river from Colorado Bend State Park, and that's what you're looking at right now. The money for the development comes from the Centennial Parks Conservation Fund, which voters approved back in 2023. We don't have an opening date just yet, but TPWD is accepting public input on recreational features. Okay, well, we will not be going to the park some days this week because we will see some showers come down.
But later this week, that the sun's out and the 70s are in, and after a pretty long, chilly stretch for us, I think many of you will enjoy the sunshine and warmth coming our way. Here's the pattern, though, for the next few days. Area of low pressure over the southwestern United States will continue to usher in moisture into central Texas, and that's going to mean a lot of clouds, very little, if any, sun, and multiple opportunities for rain. This area of low pressure is going to get closer and closer to us, and as it does, the rain coverage goes up and up, with our wettest weather coming in Wednesday into Thursday morning. Then a cold front comes through along with the line of thunderstorms, and then drier weather takes over as that low starts to move off. Area of low pressure as seen over water vapor right now. You can see that swirl in the atmosphere that's helping to bring in all the clouds and also some of these spotty mostly light showers for now. Really more nuisance than anything super beneficial, but we'll take any wet weather we can get, right? We need every drop. Most of it's coming down east of I-35 right now, and I expect more of the same here overnight with some periods of light showers, drizzle, and sprinkles into tomorrow morning. You'll be using the windshield wipers from time to time here tomorrow, including the middle of the day into the afternoon, and then rain coverage starts to go up a little bit more as we head into Tuesday night and Wednesday. Wednesday, on and off wet weather. In fact, it looks a little wetter on Wednesday than what we're expecting here tomorrow, but there'll still be some dry periods with cloudy skies. Still more of another day here that you'll need the umbrella or the rain jacket from time to time. Then things get more interesting. Late Wednesday night, storms and downpours start to form just west of the hill country by 10 p.m. and then they slowly start to march eastward. This is midnight. Stormy in the hill country at midnight. These storms starting to gradually work east into the first few hours of Thursday morning. This is 3 a.m. Still, they're mostly affecting the hill country, although we could see some stray showers out ahead of it. And then we get through 4 or 5 o'clock, the storms start to get into the Austin metro. Pretty heavy rain, gusty winds, even hail and thunder and lightning. All possible here early Thursday morning. Then we get through the middle and end of Thursday morning. We start seeing that heavier rain pivoting to areas east of 35. And we think this is just about wrapped up by midday, if not 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And then the sun comes out for the rest of your Thursday. So things could get pretty active here for a little while. So tonight and to tomorrow, scattered showers. Tomorrow with a high of 55, another cooler than average day. We should be in the mid-60s this time of year. We do jump into the upper 60s on Wednesday, 60% rain coverage during the day, but between the sunset and Thursday's sunrise, the rain chances rise to 80%. And then the leftover rain on Thursday, we've got a 50% chance of it, will mostly be along and east of 35, with areas west of 35 generally dry as you wake up Thursday morning or drying out. And then Thursday afternoon, we're up to 70. There is a severe weather risk here late Wednesday night into Thursday. It's a 2 out of 5 into the hill country, 1 out of 5 for the majority of the rest of us. Large hail, damaging wind, the primary concern there. And then a flash flooding threat northwest of Austin for the same time. About 1 to 2 inches of rain expected for most of us. There may be some exceptions on the high end and the low end, but generally speaking, most of us should end up in that range. Here's a look at our first warning weather 7-day forecast. Thursday afternoon, the sun comes out. Friday, a lot of sun, low 70s, and then low to mid 70s this weekend with mid 70s and sunshine on Monday as well.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Good evening, all, and happy Monday. Dallas Cowboys always seem to do things their way. They got rid of a coach, Mike McCarthy, to have a wide-ranging search, just to give the offensive coordinator, Brian Schottenheimer, the position. That's totally fine, but just a weird press conference today introducing Schottenheimer. First head coaching job for him. Some people called this a safe choice for Jerry Jones and company, hiring somebody in-house, but Jerry Jones sure took offense to that. Talked about it a lot in the press conference. Schottenheimer said he could have had other jobs before, but he's all in now. The guy who was left, though, was playing a bit of a different tune.
There were things that made me pause. Now, spending the better part of the last 19 years learning, listening, doing, I've learned things, almost more things that I don't believe in than things that I believe in.
If you don't think I can't operate out of my comfort zone, you're so wrong. It's unbelievable. This is as big a risk as you could take. As big a risk as you could take. No head coaching experience.
Just saying the guy right next to you just hired is a huge risk. I think that's smart. To Texas women's basketball, they were down 8 with 6 minutes to go a day ago against a very good Ole Miss team on the road. Kind of looked like things were a bit dicey for them, but they came back to win. Taylor Jones was great, as she's been recently, but Madison Booker had the big shot to seal it. Just a really gutsy win from this Texas group, and who better to sum it up than Vic Schaefer.
That's what college athletics is all about, y'all, is just having the intestinal fortitude to fight and compete. When things don't go good, not losing your mind, not losing your poise, you got to have poise in the noise. And I thought today we showed incredible poise in the noise. And then as the score got tighter and tighter, they got a little tighter on the other end.
Poison the noise. Vic with yet another mic drop. Okay, Lion King, folks. Hopefully we've all seen it or at least familiar. Remember early on in the movie, Simba was learning to roar, had the baby roar. Well, he learned how to do it later when he needed to, the real big roar. Texas freshman Trey Johnson, I think, had his Simba moment Saturday. Texas was down 22 in the second half. Johnson had 30 points, 24 of those in the second half. He hit this big three in the final minute to cut the deficit to just one. And here's the Simba moment, folks. Watch the roar from number 20. A couple of them, man, he was feeling it in the moment. And what a game there it is from Johnson and this Texas team to come back to win. And their head coach, Rodney Terry, certainly sees how special number 20 can be.
Trey's the top 5 player in the country coming in here. I mean, he better be a guy that can get some things done at a high level. You know, we expect him to be a one-and-done talent, you know. So, you know, the expectations were high for him. They were, you know, expectations we felt like we could deliver on as well. We never want to recruit a youngster and not be able to deliver on those expectations. We always have in that regards. And, you know, he's more than lived up to the billing.
Just had that look in his eyes all Saturday, Wednesday at Ole Miss for the Texas men. More sports on that and everything else over on KXAN.com.